Hey guys, so in today's video we're going to be talking about Fremantle Prison. Now this prison is over in Perth. It's not entirely abandoned. You can go still get like tours and stuff like that. You can go visit and it's just not running as a prison. So we just talk mainly about the convicts, what happened, the riots inside it, and we do a little bit of the brief history. I do want to say though, I do talk about what happened to the convicts and what punishments were performed to them, what they went through, and all the way from being alive till they were no longer here. If this is triggering to you about in-depth scenarios, please don't watch this video. Just click off and you can turn the notification bell on so you don't miss the next one. So if you are new here, I've started this series where I talk about like abandoned places or haunted places that you can still conduct tours and stuff with. They're all based in Australia. While I talk about these places, I just sit down and chat and do my makeup so you guys see the whole process. As always, don't forget to check out my Instagram page and also subscribe to my channel so you don't miss an upload. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Okay, so now that the hair is out of the way, we can start. So jumping right into it, as you know, we're going to be talking about the Fremantle Prison. Now this here isn't entirely abandoned, as you can still go and do like ghost tours. You can do tours about the history of the place. There's quite a few different ones. There's ones for all ages. There's also ones that tell you what happened to the convicts and show you where the things happened, the equipment. They do warn you with that one that it is gut-wrenching and it's not for the light-hearted, and that is exactly the same as this video. I do talk about what happens to the patients and their ways of execution and their punishment. I just want to put that out there just so you know. It's not nice. So starting with a little bit about the place itself. So it was built by convicts, and like it was originally built to just house convicts and not become like a maximum security prison. But things changed. They ended up like changing who, like the ownerships and stuff. And like the prison is known for the most notorious punishment. So the prison got built on 6 hectares. That included prison cells, a gatehouse, cottages, tunnels, all that jazz. So there were heaps of times where the convicts would like escape or try to escape. They say like they could get out of the actual prison, but the prison was surrounded by the guard walls and not many people could actually get out of that half. There were a couple that did manage to, you know, get past there, but they ended up getting found. I remember I saw one got found in Queensland, made it that far and he did get caught. So yeah, they did say it was, you know, harder back then. Well, harder in that prison, I should say. There were even some riots, which I'm gonna have a chat about. And like prisoners even took the guards as hostage, which I honestly feel is like so, I don't know, I've never heard of it. Maybe it does happen, I don't really go looking. So we're going to just talk about the punishments to start off with. So some of the punishments included hard labor in leg irons, which is like shackles, solitary confinement, floggings, and restricted diets. That was just to name a few. Sometimes there were like burnings. And apart from the leg irons, all these punishments continued well and truly into the 1900s inside the prison. So I'm going to just go over those ones and just let you know like what they are. and basically what the punishment was, including those instruments. So like I said, the leg irons were shackles that were placed around the prisoner's ankles, joined by a chain to reduce the movement. I feel like you still see them in today's world, well, especially movies. I can't tell you I've gone into a prison to see some, but anyway. So these varied in weight depending on the severity of the punishment, and the prisoners that had the leg irons on had to assist in hard labor. You know how you do an eye look and it's just, I just gotta trust the process. And with that, they would be working 10-hour days for months on end. So the leg irons often ended up causing injury. According to the prison's medical journey, it ended up in severe groin pains, lesions, bruising of the skin, and skin ruptures. So the prisoners that attempted to escape resulted in ending up in solitary confinement. And being in there also meant that they were going to be flogged as well. So technically, they've got 3 punishments in a solitary confinement. 1, they get flogged. 2, being locked in there. And 3, they're put on a diet, which I honestly don't know how they survived. So in this area, there were 12 punishment cells and 6 cells that had no windows that were classified as the dark cells. So the diet that they got put on while they were in solitary confinement was literally just bread and water. That's all they were given. And once they got put into the dark cells, always become disorientated, as they'd always lose track of time, as you would being surrounded by literally 4 walls, no windows. You would go literally crazy. So a lot of the time they'd be left in there for 1 month, but they could also be left in there for up to 6 months. After 1886, that's when the solitary confinements got restricted to not be any more longer than 28 days. I honestly can't imagine being left in a dark cell for literally 6 months. Not even a month. I wouldn't even be able to imagine it past a day, because a day would not feel like a day. Okay, I don't know if this turned out how I wanted it, but let's have a look. Moment of truth. I think it's missing a little bit of shine. Alright, it low-key looks better with the glitter on top. So before I head off and do the other eye off camera, I'm just going to quickly talk about the last punishment, which is the flogging. And this one is very brutal. So this happened using different instruments, some including the cat o' nine tails, a whip with 9 knotted strands or cords, and one called the birch. So difficult convicts were sentenced up to 100 lashes of one of those instruments, causing extreme pain and physical scarring. I remember I saw a movie once, can't remember what it's called, but I remember they were getting like a flogging as well with one of those instruments, and it's terrible. I can't remember what the movie's called. If you know what I'm talking about, comment down below, because I can't remember, but it was just horrible to watch. I can't even imagine in person. Okay, so I'm just going to go and quickly do this other eye off camera, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry if you can hear the fan, it's just so hot in here. I just got to turn it on. So all finished, and my face is just full of glitter everywhere. Oh my god. Oh my god. I am obsessed though. Okay, so Fremantle Prison was the major focus of legal executions for hanging. In 1886, the prison was handed over to the, I always gotta say colony, the colonial, is that how you say it? Government as a maximum security prison. So the first thing they done was in 1888 they built a gallows. If you don't know what that is, I'll insert a picture right here. This then became the only place of legal execution in WA, and that was between 1888 to 1984. This is so bad. I swear, like, look at that. I'm the most pale person. It's like I belong in Twilight. And I know, like, people say, oh, match to your chest, but my chest is just as pale. Can I just say before you say anything, I'm not leaving my face this white. So during that time, 43 men got hung and only one woman. All those people did commit murder, just so you know. You can, like, look up and see who they were, but if you want to, you can go look. So the executions would usually happen on a Monday morning at 8 a.m. and what would usually happen is the hangman is responsible for a number of things, and he had to make sure that they were all in order. So they included testing the trapdoor and making sure that the mechanism was working properly. It also included eliminating any potential for the rope to stretch and determining the length of rope needed to properly execute the person. And that was using calculations on their weight and their height. And on the day of the execution, the condemned person, they were woken up around 5:30 a.m. So that's 2.5 hours before they, So he was showered, he was given breakfast, and then he was transferred from death row to a cell in the solitary confinement block. And that is where he was kept under constant surveillance. So he was allowed the services of seeing a priest or someone equivalent, and they also offered a glass of whiskey, which I would down that. So then after that time, he was transferred to the gallows, and they went there with their hands and their feet secured in leather shackles and also a cloth over their head. The formalities of the ritual were strictly observed. Once everything was in place, it all happened very quickly. The time from leaving the solitary confinement cell to going to the gallows and getting hung was approximately only 60 seconds. That is how quick it all happened. In 1988, the prisoners in the Division 3 yard attacked the prisoner officers with boiling water. They also took 5 of them hostage and stole the keys. The cells were open, tables got smashed, stools got smashed, paper and clothes got set on fire. In the end, it ended up being $2 million in damage. The whole riot ended up caused everything to burn in the end, including the building. Most of it got repaired, and then 3 years later, the last prisoner walked out of the prison. There were suspicions that the riot was planned several weeks beforehand, but something actually triggered it happening, and allegedly that was the mistreatment of a prisoner. When convicts were refused a meeting with the superintendent, they attacked the officers with hot water off the dinner cart. Other convicts would hold the officers as prisoners for 19 hours, and they would release one by one in exchange for cigarettes and food. In this particular riot, 15 officers were injured. At one stage, a total of 33 prisoners were involved in a riot, and one of them even appeared naked in court. The prison ended up closing down in 1991, and that was for breaches of human rights. It got out to the townsfolk that they had inhumane conditions. Like, on one day, the convicts were left outside all day in 41-degree weather. But it doesn't help that because due to being an old building, there wasn't actually any air cons or heaters throughout the building either. So either way, and there were also no flushing toilets. The inmates were using the toilet buckets. Okay, so that is the look completed, and that is the end of Fremantle Prison. So that was just a brief history and what happened to the convicts and things like that. If you want to know more about it in detail, you can go actually take a tour depending on what area you want to learn about. They conduct a few tours over there, so they've got one specific for convicts, one about the history. They've got like the torchlight tours like about the ghost and stuff. I'm actually not too sure which one this is on, but you can also go in a canoe through the water tunnel that they've dug underneath that leads into the prison, which is pretty cool. So go check that out. I'll leave the website linked down below for you guys. And there's just a whole bunch of cool information on the website itself. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to turn that notification bell on and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next upload. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!